Hi, welcome. Welcome to Facebook Live. You know, this is one of my favorite days because I get to spend it with you and share some of what I've learned and how it's changed my life. And so tonight I want to talk about looking at other people through a lens, right? How we see people, whether they're right or wrong, and how this can really help us go deeper and look at our own limiting beliefs. So first, my disclaimer, you know what I offer here is self-help, right? Especially on Facebook. And always seek the highest level of care for whatever it is that you're facing. But what I offer tonight can be used as tools and tips, right? Life tools. I'm a life coach. And so you can put these to work right away. There are also things I'll share with you, a book that I'm reading on ways that you can find your own resources and learn some of these tools and techniques as well. So again, seek the highest level of care for what it is that you're facing. And my services and what I offer here are never intended to be an alternative to professional medical or psychotherapy care. So, do you see others with a right or wrong lens? Right? And it isn't so much how we see them as what we say about them, how we judge them. That's how we know. But it's one way to go deeper and find out more about our own limiting beliefs. One of the limiting beliefs that we all have is fear. And fear will come out as judgment of others or clinging to people who think like us. So I've shared in the past that my belief is truth is fluid, right? It changes. It's not the same for every individual because each person comes to understand truth based on their own life experiences, what they were taught, where they lived, what their culture is, what society was like around them. And nobody experiences life exactly the same way. We are individuals. So our experiences and then the corresponding emotions that they create, right? Was that a good experience or a bad experience? Were you, happy and joyous from that experience, or were you sad or fearful? So emotions create the beliefs, and then our opinions and our point of views come from that, our beliefs, our inner beliefs. So this book that I'm reading is by Aaron Fall Haskell, and it's titled Awakening, and it's a 40-day guide to really looking at these deep issues to create the life that you want, right? To remove and amend limiting beliefs, and you absolutely can change your beliefs. You can amend them or discard them totally and create a new belief system. It's possible. And we experience the world based on how we believe it to be, more so than what it actually is. So she goes into depth about this, what I shared, that truth was fluid, right? It's change. It's not concrete for every single person, but she goes more into depth about it and has a wonderful way of explaining it. So universal truths are changeless and eternal and absolute. Right? They're changeless, eternal, and absolute. And some examples of these universal truths are gravity. Right? Gravity is always gravity, and we understand it, and it doesn't change based on opinions. Right? It's a universal truth. And the law of attraction, which I've shared with you, and I continue to do that. Also, right, a universal truth. The individual truths are where our opinions come from. And she calls them relative truths, right, because they're relative to each individual. So when you know the difference between the truth, right, such as gravity, versus your relative truth or your opinion, it can absolutely change how you view others, because then you understand it's not so much about truth as it is that relative truth. And your relative truth and someone with an opposing view, That's their relative truth. And it came about from experiences, right? And every one of us is individual. None of us have experienced the world the same way. So let's say that we're using this, right? Relative truth versus universal truth about political parties or the people who are a member of the political party. And politics is huge right now. It's the upheaval in our world, no matter which side of the opinion you're on, the upheaval in our world is affecting all of us. We're all feeling it, right? The fear and the sadness and the conflict, it affects all of us. And we're also in the middle of a pandemic where our health is vital and we have even more stress, right? So if you can understand the difference between that relative truth, your opinion, and their relative truth and opinion, it can open you up to have more tolerance, to understand that it's not an absolute truth, right? You're right and they're wrong. It's a relative truth. It's an opinion based on how you experience the world, how you grew up, right? What experiences you had. But the same is true for them. And then when we can have tolerance, right, then we can open to understanding how they came to have this belief and this opinion, and that grows us, right? That grows us. So we experience politics differently, but we both experience gravity the same, right? Gravity doesn't say, you're a liberal and you're a conservative and then treat you differently. Gravity is gravity. But we experience politics differently. We don't come to our beliefs in the same way. Everybody is different. We also experience economics and education differently. Not everyone has the same experience. Not everyone is in the same economic situation. Not everyone experiences education the same. But we experience the law of attraction equally. Gravity and the law of attraction operate the same for each of us. The law of attraction is another universal truth that doesn't know the difference. It treats everyone the same. That's where your power is. You can create using these universal truths. Now, how you view others makes a huge difference in how you experience life. This is a fundamental truth. It really is. Relationships are fundamental to our existence. Every human is affected by relationships. Every human. So even if you're the most alone person in the world, you've had relationships. You were born from a relationship. And being alone is a relationship as well. Right? So all humans are affected by relationships, and how you view others makes a big difference in yours. So you can start, right, with the differences from a place. So imagine that you meet someone who has an opinion vastly different than your own. Start from a place of tolerance and respect and acknowledgement. Know that you're not going to think exactly as this person does. Start from that tolerant place, right? Be open, right? Be open to learning how this person came to believe how they believe. It grows us, right? It grows who we are when we can understand another human. We're better. We're better at relationships. We're better at communication. We're also better at mutual respect and fostering that. Imagine that in a time now, if we had mutual respect, how different our politics would be. How different our politics would be. And it can help you to understand more about yourself as well. You know that this is self-help. So how do all of these life experiences and meeting people of different beliefs, How does it help you understand yourself? Well, expansion is good for us. We absolutely came to this life to experience, right, and to learn, and to be open to meeting other humans. I think that's why relationships, it's my opinion, right? That's why relationships are so vital and key to our existence, right? We are very relationship driven. So be open to learning and understanding this other person's point of view. Be open and understanding of their life experiences, and understand that they're going to be different than yours. It'll expand your limited understanding of the world, right? To meet people from other countries expands your understanding of the world. What we see, the limited exposure that we have, can't be the whole picture, right? So by learning from others who experience life differently, let's say different religions, different economic backgrounds, different education levels, different beliefs, right? We're talking about beliefs. You have an expanded view of the world rather than a limited one. If all you know is your family and your little tiny community, you have a very limited view of the world. The world and the people that we encounter are mirrors for our inner beliefs. I believe this. I don't feel that it's an absolute truth, right? I'm not certain of that because it's not scientific. But who we meet in the world, who we watch on TV, who we follow in the news, who we listen to, right? Who we study, it reflects back to us certain aspects of ourselves. So other people are mirrors for our inner beliefs. It's a tool I use often. Doesn't mean that the person you're seeing is exactly like you. That's not the mirror, but it reflects back to you a certain aspect. The law of attraction, right? We do attract people to us who are either like us or are here for our growth and our learning, right? Our souls bring people into our life. Some are challenging, right? That's the rightness and the wrongness that we're talking about tonight. But it's all for our growth. And it's all orchestrated by our soul. Again, it's a relative truth. It's my opinion. So the world and people are mirrors, right? They're mirrors for our inner beliefs, and they can reflect to us, especially if we have a trouble really figuring out what our limiting beliefs are, or beliefs that aren't, serving us. Look at others and events as mirrors. So here's a big one. Both positive and negative experiences reflect back to us. Both do, and both are useful. So positive experiences, right? We don't want to change those. We want more of those. By sharing gratitude, right, and acknowledging and honoring the positive experience, it validates our worthiness for the good and the divine in life, right? So to receive more of the positive experiences, first be grateful. And the more you're grateful for, the more the universe brings to you to be grateful, because you are lifting that energy, and like energy attracts like energy. So be grateful for the positive experiences, right? Honor and acknowledge them. And know that they validate your worthiness for the good and the divine. And we get more of what we focus on. And most of us have a not worthy, limiting belief. So by practicing this, you validate your worthiness. You change or amend that limiting belief. Now, negative experiences offer a glimpse into our wounded inner selves. And then it offers the opportunity to amend the negative limiting belief. So negative beliefs give us whatever the wound is, right, is the button that gets triggered by other people, the ones that we view as wrong. And remember, all buttons are ours. to work on. If we don't have the button, it can't get triggered, it can't get pushed. So negative experiences offer us that opportunity to work with our wounded inner beings, right? To heal those buttons so that they can no longer be triggered in that way. And here's a belief of mine, and I find it very useful, that challenging people and challenging life events offer us the opportunity for some of the greatest soul growth, the greatest expansion. Right? So look at challenging people as teachers and begin to understand what there is to learn. Right? We don't grow a lot of muscle when we do the easy lifting. We grow the strong muscle, right? When we lift heavy things, when we're challenged, right? That's our biggest growth opportunities. And the same is true in emotions and our soul. And each and every one of us on the planet will have a challenging person or a challenging event, at least one. I think most of us have many. And it's always here for us, even though it's hard going through it. It's where our soul experiences the greatest expansion and growth. If, right, you can change that limiting view, that it's somehow a punishment or you did something wrong. So see challenging people as teachers. Now I want to pause for a moment because in talking about challenging people, I'm not talking about abuse, right? That's just reserved for the professionals. This is the normal average person with challenging opinions and actions that are different from your own. So understand, right? Abuse is not okay. And it requires to take action and seek the professional help of the professionals. But, right, the normal, average, challenging person who has opinions or actions that are different from our own, that's what we're focusing on here tonight. And this is where the lens of right or wrong is useful, right? How we see and speak about others. So if you view someone as right, it's likely that they think and act like you. That's really the qualifying factor, right? They think and act like you. Therefore, we see them or view them as right. We're comfortable with people when they're more like us than not. Right? We're more comfortable with people who are like us. And we need people we can relate to. We do. It's not that we need to surround ourselves with people who think differently. We do need to relate to people who are like us, and we do need to have them in our group. But surrounding ourselves exclusively with people who think exactly as we do sets us up for limited views, limited experiences. And this is the big one. It sets us up for conflicts and challenges and misinformation. It can lead us down a very limited path. Right? It can limit our point of view. It can limit our tolerance for others who fall outside of that. So we do need people who think like us, right? We do want that. We want to talk to someone who gets us, right? And understands and shares that. That's very expansive as well, but not exclusively. And you're seeing this in the country now where people from opposite views can't shake hands and come across the aisle and look for solutions that fit everyone, and understand that our country is almost divided exactly down the middle, 50-50. And that's a really hard division to overcome, right? Especially when we surround ourselves, and there's plenty to do it, with people who think only like us and exclude all others. We have very limited views, very limited tolerance. Now, if you view someone as wrong, right, they're just wrong, understand that their different point of view was based on their life experience. So can you ask yourself, is it possible that wrong is just different from you? Not actually wrong, right? Remember, opinion, relative truth versus, universal or absolute truth. Political opinions are not universal or absolute. They're relative, they're opinions. So some of the greatest differences come from some of the hardest topics to discuss. So know that my intention is never to offend. But I also believe that by with respect and honor and acknowledgement, kindness, understanding, we can talk about the hard things. So I'm not a person of color. And I'm not a person that belongs to a minority. But Mark and I did create a family by merging two different cultures together. Right? Our cultures were different. We merged them together and we have a family. But discrimination and racism isn't foreign to me, even though, right, I don't belong to a minority group. I haven't been discriminated against. And I personally have never experienced racism. Not me personally. Now, I am a woman, and women have historically experienced discrimination. So racism and discrimination exist, they do, but I have not experienced it overtly. My belief system was not formed from this because I didn't have that experience. So my belief system was formed through my own experiences, which didn't include that. Right? Now, I have empathy, and I have understanding, and I have compassion. And I gain more whenever I reach out to people who are different from me and have those different experiences. It gives me a better understanding. Now, I believe them. Right? When they tell me how they were affected by these experiences, it is their relative truth. It's not my right to say that that's right or wrong. They came about their relative truth from their experiences. But the same is true for me. I won't be able to see it the same. Right? I won't be able to see it the same. And I'll also see other options, such as not being held back because I'm a woman. That's true for me, but it may not be true for some other woman who experienced discrimination. It goes both ways. And when we understand that, I'm not wrong because I don't see it that other way. But neither are they wrong because they don't see it the way I do. They see it from how they experienced it. And this is the real crux of this. This is the truth. And there's so much truth there that both of us can benefit from when we come together. So I understand how people come to believe what they believe. Right? That's first and foremost. For us to come together, we have to understand. We have to have compassion. But I won't be able to relate exactly, right? Because my life experiences are different. So I won't be able to relate exactly, but I can still relate. That's the key. Here's another key point. People of similar groups still have different experiences, and therefore they have different views of the world as well. Again, I wasn't discriminated against because I was a woman, right? But other women have been. So people of a similar group can still have different experiences and have different views of the world. It's what makes the world go around. But lumping similar people into a category, and worse yet, stereotyping anyone, that's what is the separateness that we're experiencing in the world. So by not lumping all people together and really watching those stereotypes, it helps to bridge the separateness that we're witnessing. Right? And we've been witnessing it for decades, but it's been worsening more recently. And there are systems, whether they're government or culture, religion, just belief systems, that draw distinct lines between these beliefs, the political beliefs and economic outcomes and religion and race and gender and education, all of the factions that cause dissent. There are systems, right, that are really propagating this. But guess what? They're not faceless. It's not a faceless system causing the polarity or the dissent. They're not causing the riots. It's people. It's us. It's people. And none of you here with me tonight are part of the riots. Of that I am certain, right? Because you're here to better yourself, and you're here to learn, and you know that I'm a peaceful person, right? So if you're with me tonight, I know that you're not a part of that. But if you view other people from the lens of rightness or wrongness, you are part of the separation, and therefore part of the problem. So I want to say that again, right? You're not rioting. But if you view others as right or wrong, you're part of the separation. What separates us when we can't come across the aisle and see people of different opinions as okay? We are part of the problem too, and I add myself in there because it's not about judging you. It's not about judging me. It's not about saying we're doing it wrong. Because each of us, we're human. And we do this to some degree. We do this to some degree. It's the awareness, right? The awareness that's the tool that creates change. The more we're aware of it, even if we, go there and then back it back up, the awareness is where we can change. When you hear yourself getting involved or taking sides, if you hear yourself declaring the rightness or wrongness, right, stop. I will tell you that the rioters destroying property, I did. That's wrong, right? Now, I'm not saying it's right, but what I'm saying is the awareness, right, to stop and then to open to having some understanding, their point of view, right? Now, you don't have to change yours. When you're open to someone else's point of view, you can keep a different point of view, right? You can keep yours and they can keep theirs. There's that phrase, you do you and I'll do me. Absolutely. The world was never meant to be the same, ever. Our world and all of the innovations and progress, our relationships, our learning, came in part from our differences, and it came in part from some competition. Absolutely. It's a human desire to make the lives of others better, and a desire to create a better world. And that came from our differences as well. Because if we were all thinking alike, and if we thought alike, it just isn't possible, right? That's my opinion, right? If we were all exactly alike, we wouldn't have evolved as a species. It's a relative truth, right? I don't have any science backing it up. But think about that. If we were exactly alike, we wouldn't have evolved. We wouldn't have had that desire to make changes and to progress as a species, as humanity, to be better if we all thought exactly alike. So you can adopt some of this, you can, or you can reject it, or reject all of it. Right? There's no right or wrong way to do this, what I'm offering here tonight. But I do ask if you can let go of judgment of others and accept, right, that we can be different. We can foster and practice that we can live peacefully and get along. We can be friends. We can even be lovers, even though we don't see the world through the same lenses. We don't see it the same. But it's possible that people have different views, different opinions, different ways of seeing things can absolutely get along. I will say that there are very many married couples who don't see it the same way. They don't vote the same, right? They don't talk the same. They don't have the same groups. And when you can do that, when you can see that we can live peacefully together and be different, then you're fostering peace, rather than the polarity and the separation that we're seeing. Remember, these systems are people. And so you foster peace rather than polarity and separation. And then you begin to experience the world with new eyes because you're having new experiences, more life-affirming, more peaceful experiences. So when you can experience the world from your inner belief, you realize that peace comes from within, not outside. Peace comes from within. And you bring more peace into your existence, into your world. And that's how your world can be different from others. So how you see and respond to the world says more about you than anything else. How you're living in the world. And there's a famous quote, be the change you wish to see in the world. Instead of asking someone else to change, you be the change. If you want peace, foster peace. And if you want respect in the world, be respectful of others, everyone you meet. If you want honor in the world, be honorable and recognize others' honor. If you want a loving relationship, be loving to everyone you have the chance to meet. If you want abundance and prosperity, be generous, be grateful, be diligent and hardworking. If you want health, think and act healthy. So what you want to experience in your outer world must first start in your inner world, your inner being, your belief system. And the great thing is that you can change your beliefs and therefore change your experience of the world. I tell you this because it happened for me. And it's continuing to happen now. So make those changes to your inner world in order to experience change in the outer world. And again, be the change that you wish to see in the world. So with that, I thank you, and I hope to see you next Monday. And remember, if you're here with me, you matter. You matter to me. So take care until next week.